Hello everyone, it's Marla. Welcome back to Twinstrology, where we talk about twin flames, astrology, and ascension. And today we're going to be doing a collective twin flame reading for the month of January. Today is January 1st, so Happy New Year everyone. I hope that you enjoyed your holidays. And I'm going to be using 3 decks in this reading. The first deck is my own deck, the Twin Flame Oracle. Also going to be using the Question Oracle, and the Zodiac 108 has a clarifier card. So if you like any of these decks, I will post a link below. And if you use my affiliate link, you can get an additional 10% off any of those decks. And if you are a reader yourself and you have your own YouTube channel or TikTok or Instagram and you would like to become an affiliate, you can sign up for free. I will post the link for that below as well. Okay, let's get into the reading. I'm going to start with the Question Oracle. And I use the Question Oracles to just give us even more direction for where we're focusing. And the message is, how can I create a divine love connection? So this is the message from our higher self. So we know that in January, what we're going to be focusing on a spiritual level is creating that divine love connection. If you're here watching my readings, either you're in a divine love connection or you're looking to create a divine love connection. And if we want that kind of relationship, it means we have to do a lot of our own inner work. Do a lot of clearing. We have to take responsibility, and we have to be in the frequency of the love that we're looking to attract. Having a hard time picking up these cards today. So the overall energy of unions is, please send me energetic support. Use the frequency of love to uplift me because I need your help. And that is clarified with the card Coin Toss. So guys, the first thing I want to say is that the energy of clearing that started in December is going to be continuing in January, at least for the first 3 weeks. This clearing is being, it's being driven by Mars and Mercury retrogrades. And Mars is going direct on January 12th and Mercury, I think, on January 18th. So until then, at least, we are still in this collective energy shift. There is a raising of the collective consciousness, but we're also doing clearing on our own because all of us are trying to create this divine love connection. So the first thing I would say is it's really important to know where your energy is during this month. Watch your thoughts, because our thoughts often lead us down a path that is not really necessary. You know, it's like our ego, our mental energy can get the better of us at times and make the clearing even worse. For those of you that are watching, I would say that you are aware enough of your energy that it's like you can feel it and you're like, okay, I'm clearing something. Let me go within. Let me take the time to look at what I'm clearing. Let me meditate. Let me do that clearing practices that I need to do to protect my energy. And even like creating a shield around your energy. But the separation wound is still being activated in January. I posted several videos about that last month. So it's like we're healing the feminine wound. We're healing the feelings of abandonment. We'll be talking about all this more during this reading. But in order to heal that, we've got to do some energetic clearing. But this card even says, right, use the frequency of love to uplift me because I need your help. So, well, the first thing I'm getting is that, yeah, you may need some help at this time, but also it's that frequency of love that we're trying to develop so that we can hold that frequency. And I think for a lot of you, you're going to see that you're able at this point in your journey to hold your frequency, even though you're also doing clearing at the same time, because you're aware of your consciousness and where your consciousness is at every moment. I feel like this coin toss, one of the meanings here is it's a choice. You know, how we handle this energy and how we handle this clearing is a choice. Unpredictable. Okay, this is another thing I want to mention, because what my guides told me as I was preparing for this reading is that one of the issues in January is that because of the clearing that we're working through, we can easily become reactive to situations. That means, like, if we're not caring for our energy, we can get pulled in to negativity around us, or even our own negativity, right? Because we can let that spiral us down into, you know, depths that we really don't want to go to. But when you're working with other people, when you're talking with other people, you could become reactive, or other people could become reactive. And I'm getting that for a lot of you, what you're going to be facing is other people are going to be reactive, meaning, you know, they can get triggered. You or them can get triggered very easily. That's another meaning of the coin toss, because our guides are like, well, flip a coin, how that interaction is going to go. Is it going to go good? Is it going to go bad? Just flip a coin on it. But we can be the strongest vibration in the room if we take the time to clear our energetic field, if we put protection around ourselves, and if we take the time to isolate after difficult interactions with people. They're also saying too, this card, like this woman is meditating, they're saying take a step back, because in our own reactivity, it can be a coin toss. If someone triggers us, you know, it's like, how is that coin going to land? Are we going to react in the moment? What they want us to do is to step back and just give us some time, give ourselves time to think about it before we react. Because if we do that, we can often squelch that reactivity before we draw in the other person and things get out of control. Remember, we're trying to create this divine love connection. So it's like, what would divine love do when you're in that reactive situation? Think about that. How would, if I was in the energy of divine love, how would I react to this situation? But also, we're clearing ourselves and we're adjusting our own frequencies to hold this energy of divine love. What's positive in our unions is I want to know everything about you, but I hold myself back from asking because I'm afraid I'll get in too deep. So what this means is we are overcoming this holding ourselves back. Both the masculine and feminine have been holding themselves back from the connection because they've both been afraid. This was really about the wall that we put up. And even in those times where you're having interactions, very often one or both is holding themselves back because they don't want to go into that space of feeling vulnerable. This is clarified with balloons, freedom, ascension, rising up, stress-free, independence, let it go. So we know that our energy is rising up despite the clearing that we're all doing and the challenges that we might be facing. We can rest assured that our vibration is going up. And it's going to help us in our divine love connection, because there's not so much holding back. One of the things I'm getting that's happening in January, kind of in the overall energy, has a lot to do with the divine masculine. And the divine masculine is breaking free of a lot of their karmic issues, whatever that may be. Now remember, you are all the divine masculine. So while it's tempting to want to project all of the masculine energy onto your twin, we are all masculine. So we all have to look within ourselves and see, like, how have we been holding ourselves back from love? And how can we now heal that and move forward? And we're doing that by healing the separation wound. When we don't fear separation and we don't fear abandonment, we can give 100% of ourselves. We're finding the strength and love within ourselves instead of seeking it from someone else in a codependent relationship. I forgot the songs. Let me just pull the overall song message for twins before I go any further. And it's "We Can Work It Out" by the Beatles. Try to see it my way. Do I have to keep on talking till I can't go on? While you see it your way and run the risk of knowing that our love may soon be gone. We can work it out. Life is very short and there's no time for fussing and fighting, my friend. I have always thought that it's a crime, so I will ask you once again. Okay. So we had an overall, last month too, for the overall energy for twins, we had a Beatles song. That one was "The Long and Winding Road." I know some of you have asked me about, you know, my songs and the deck I'm using. It's actually not a deck. It's my own cards. And guys, I have over 300 songs here. So when I pull songs, I'm really pulling a song. I'm not pulling it from like 30 songs. I'm pulling it from 300 song choices. So that makes them very meaningful. So what were we talking about with the overall energy? We were talking about people being reactive and how we don't want to escalate that reactivity and we don't want to be drawn in to becoming reactive ourselves. And this song is saying, you know, we don't have to be, we can work it out. Now, I think I mentioned on this card, maybe I didn't, 2 sides to every story, okay? This is a really important thing. So if I didn't mention it, I need to. Because both the masculine and feminine, they have their own side. They have their own story. When you're interacting with people out in the world, right, you have your side and your story and your beliefs, and they have their side and their story and their beliefs. And what we're doing when we end the separation wound is we're coming into oneness with all that is, and we have to figure out a way to work with other people and understand that we're all individuals. We all have our own experience. We all have our own story. And because you might have a different story than me, that doesn't negate me and my story. So the clearing that we're going through is very important to this shift. And I mean, polarity has been something that we've been talking about for years. And so when we heal separation, we heal polarity. Now, I'm not saying that next month there's going to be no separation wound and there's going to be no polarity and everyone's going to be living this kind of Aquarian utopian dream. It's not what I'm saying at all. Because this change takes time, as we've seen. It's going to take years, but it has to have a starting point. And it has to start with certain people. And we're it. And the time is now. So while the greater collective may not necessarily be ready for all of this, people that have been on the ascension path are ready. And it's time that we have more compassion for each other. And that's a huge piece of this shift. And I spoke about that in my video, changing the twin flame dynamic. We have to have compassion, starting with our twin or our divine counterpart. We have to have compassion for what they've gone through. And we want them to have compassion for us. It's a two-way street. We have to be what we want people to reflect to us. So if you want kindness and compassion, you have to be kindness and compassion. And even when other people hurt you, you have to have compassion. Doesn't mean you're a doormat. Doesn't mean you don't set boundaries. But we understand, hey, there's two sides to every story. And that person maybe has gone through something, or that person's been hurt, or that person has been abused. So I can forgive and let go from that greater space. You know, we did the Ho'oponopono workshop last week, and that's really what Ho'oponopono is about. Forgiveness, but not just forgiving on an individual level, but forgiving on this broader level. It's really us asking forgiveness from God. So the song for what's positive in twin flame unions is Changes by David Bowie. And I'm not going to read the lyrics to this song, because I think the most important thing to take away from it is that there is change happening. Positive change. And, you know, I think some of the song is about looking within ourselves as well, right? That change starts within us. So let's see what challenges twin flame unions. I feel your energy around me, and I wonder, are you thinking of me too? And this is clarified with roses. So what challenges twin flames, I feel, is trusting. And this is not something new. You know, again, last month I spoke a lot about trusting, but it's something that we're always working on. So when I said that we're healing the separation wound, part of that is this acknowledging, has twins or has divine counterparts, your person is always there. They may not be there in the physical, but spiritually, etherically, they're always there. Energetically, I should say, they're always there. And you can always connect to them, and they can always connect to you. But what happens is we don't want this often as humans, right? We push this away and we're like, who cares about that? I want something tangible. I want something real. And we're not acknowledging the sacredness of this connection. How can you create a divine love connection? A divine love connection is something sacred. And if we're not honoring this deep spiritual connection that we have as a couple, then how can we be creating the connection that we want? And if we're not trusting in this connection, how can we be creating the connection that we want? This card, love, is showing us that we all are looking for this. Love, romance, devotion, enchanted, passion, yearning, tenderness. But we're not seeing that we already have it. And this is what our guides are wanting us to know. This is why I spent a lot of time last month talking about the connection to God and working through the doubts, because we can't keep pushing this away and saying, no, it's not good enough. We have to embrace this. And when we learn to really embrace this, that's when we open the door to each other. And when we're holding ourselves back, we're also holding ourselves back from this. And with this card, when we're holding ourselves back, we're not just holding ourselves back in the actual physical connection, you know, in the way we communicate. Yes, we are holding ourselves back in that way. But we're also holding ourselves back from this, from really believing in the connection. And finally, once and for all, letting go of the doubts. But energy is important. That's the central theme of this reading, right? That we have to clear our energy. We know that we can easily be affected by other people's energy, yet when it comes to this part of our connection, we push it away, or we don't acknowledge it, or we tell ourselves it's all an illusion. This is really what divine love is about. It's about the spiritual connection and the energy that is shared by two people. So the song message, I should say, for what challenges us is Don't Give Up by Peter Gabriel and Kate Bush. Don't give up, you still have us. Don't give up, we don't need much of anything. Don't give up, because somewhere there's a place we belong. Rest your head, you worry too much. It's going to be all right. When times get tough, you can fall back on us. Don't give up. Please don't give up. In a way, we can even see this like not just as our twin, which is what the card is actually referring to, but we can also see it as our spirit guides, our angels, the archangels, the masters, even the presence of God or goddess. It's always there. It's always with us. We're never alone. And yet we always go back to that idea that we're separate from everything. And so maybe if you can't work on that feeling of separation with your twin, maybe you can work on feeling of separation with the spiritual beings that are around us all the time, because they're here supporting us and they're walking this path with us, and they're telling us, don't give up. For the divine feminine, what guidance is there for making progress in my love life at this time? So the cards for the divine feminine are telling us where the divine feminine is progressing at this time frame. Separated or together, we're working in tandem with each other. What was I just saying? It doesn't matter whether there's physical separation or not. You and your twin work together every single step of this journey. This is the ending of that separation wound. And look at the clarifier, ostrich trap, fear-based thinking, close-mindedness, not facing reality, avoidance. Like, we haven't wanted to believe that there is no separation. We keep wanting to believe that it's an illusion, or going into fear. The person isn't here physically, so it must not be real. Also, we go into this too when we say that person will never change. That person's never going to show up. They're never going to change. We're doing the same thing. We keep holding ourselves in the frequency of separation with that kind of consciousness. So for the feminine, working on knowing, believing, releasing the doubts of separation. how this is showing up for the feminine. Please contact me. I may not respond, but knowing you care opens my heart. And it's clarified with the card within a few weeks. So what this is saying for the feminine, how this is showing up is in the area of communication. I'm not saying that you need to reach out to your twin, although maybe some of you will, but there's a healing happening with this shift all about communication. Again, if we want communication, we can't be in this energy of avoiding. And there's lots of ways that we can avoid, ways that make us feel like we're not doing it, but we are actually just projecting our fears onto the other person. Once again, we also have an image of the person and then this etheric image with them of their partner. So once again, we know like some of this has to do with our energy, our spiritual connection. Are we honoring it? Are we embracing it? Or are we pushing it away? Again, there's no separation. These people, for all intents and purposes, are together. So there's a change coming within a few weeks that relates to this. Now, I am talking a lot here about the spiritual connection, but I am getting that communication for twins can shift at any time. And perhaps for you, it's going to be shifting within a few weeks. But we have to remember the oneness and not go into that separation mindset. Remember, we're all feminine. So both the masculine and feminine are integrating these energies. How this is transforming the feminine. I'm awake. I know more than I'm letting on. So yeah, the feminine is awakening too, because our inner masculine is going through the process of awakening and working more with our inner feminine. And it's also this deep connection to God as well. However you see God. And I also I think changing the twin flame dynamic, I talked about our intuition and how a lot of us maybe have been ignoring our intuition. I know that happens because I'm working with people and I know that they are purposely ignoring their intuition because their intuition is telling them things that they don't like. But we can't keep doing that. That is also holding ourselves back. Maybe not holding ourselves back from our person, but it's holding ourselves back from our truth and why we're here. This is clarified with crack shot. Okay, so I feel like this is the empowered feminine, not necessarily, going out with a gun, but this usually comes out for me when it's like, oh, you're right on target, Marla, you're right on track. When I get that card, that's what I know. You hit the bullseye. And so that's what I feel is being said about the feminine. You're right on track. For the masculine energy, the question oracle is, what can I do to come to a place of forgiveness with this person? So remember, I talked a little bit about forgiveness and forgiveness starting within. So a lot of what our masculine is going through is self-forgiveness. There's many, many things that encompasses, both in our personal life, but also has a collective. And we can read the energy that is happening, a lot of which is about the collective energy in the sense that we're all working on this much greater feminine and masculine wound, and how the feminine and the masculine have been separated since the earth fell into this 3D reality. And the masculine and feminine have been at odds with each other in many ways. And we have to forgive on that broader picture, right? I think that's what I was trying to say before. I said it much better in another video, because it's like we all have a role to play in how this situation came about. And the best way to change that is to forgive ourselves. That's again why Ho'oponopono is so good, because we're asking God to forgive us for whatever memories, programs, or role we played in the creation of that. So our own inner masculine has for a long time been here, keeping that wall up, keeping the barriers up, not even like wanting to consider forgiveness, because it could mean facing painful experiences from the past. But with this very powerful Mars retrograde, our inner masculine has said, I'm ready now. I'm ready to face these things. And that's really because our inner feminine has grown as well. Our inner masculine and feminine are always working in tandem. And if you look back over your journey, I'm sure you'll see that, which is another great way that we can see this card. Another way that we can understand there's no separation, because our inner masculine and feminine, right? It's like one part is ready to grow, and then the next part, the masculine grows, and then the feminine is able to grow, and that allows the masculine to grow. It's not happening in a vacuum. It's not all just feminine, 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 and the masculine does nothing, even though like a lot of people will want you to believe that it's only the feminine that's awake and evolved and the masculine isn't. That is not true. That's a projection. For the masculine in all of us, it's creating this forgiveness that is allowing for this divine love connection to really evolve into more of a tangible 3D reality type of connection. So what the masculine is healing, there are subconscious fears affecting our ability to attract love and abundance. The universe is helping us make these conscious so we can easily attract what we want, including each other. So I think I just said that, right? The subconscious fears have been limiting our ability to attract that divine love connection. And the last several months, really all last year, it's been time to systematically look at the subconscious fears and release them one by one so we can come back together again. This is clarified with happening soon. So there's a few things I want to say about this too. So the subconscious clearing that some of our guys are saying, like, happening soon, like we can expect to experience more of this subconscious clearing, showing us where we have not been in the vibration to attract what we want. So that's one thing. The other thing is the separation wound. And a lot of the subconscious fears that both the masculine and feminine is having to clear is how the masculine has abandoned the feminine. And I say that with a lot of caveats because I don't want to feed into that energy of the masculine is the bad one or the bad guy. But it's more about how, well, we've all abandoned our feminine because the feminine energy knows, for example, that we're one. the feminine energy feels that spiritual and energetic connection. And so when we say, oh, that's just an illusion, you're denying your own feminine energy. You're denying your own intuition. So in that way, everyone has abandoned the feminine. So those that have chosen to embody the masculine in this timeline have agreed for us to kind of take on and clear this very painful role that the masculine and feminine has played out. I'm saying that because we have this card and this woman is standing at the train station with her dog. And I don't know, is she leaving? Has she been abandoned? Has she been left at the train station? Or is that train never showed up? Has she been expecting someone to show up and that train hasn't arrived? So again, I'm not saying that to play into the idea that the masculine has abandoned the feminine, because we're all masculine once again. But it's more of, as a collective, we have abandoned that part of us, and the masculine is clearing it. And the masculine, when the masculine says, how do I come to a place of forgiveness? Those that are embodying this very important role, I said they're taking on this painful expression because they have to, you know, kind of go down this road within themselves. So your masculine twin might be feeling like, I let that person down. I didn't show up for them. And now that I'm awakening more, now that I'm understanding this connection more, I see how I just kind of abandoned them and left them hanging. And in order to come back, they have to find forgiveness for themselves. It's not about the feminine forgiving them for what they did. It's about them forgiving themselves and letting themselves off the hook. And again, they've taken on that template for the whole collective of humanity and the situation between the masculine and feminine since the fall. I just want to look at my notes for a moment. So yeah, I mean, I think that that card also plays into the fact that the feminine is going to be dealing with abandonment wounds. And many of you are probably still going to be questioning, is this person coming back, and going through that inner struggle of what is an illusion and what is reality? Because we all have to get right with that, which is ultimately getting right with God. Now the masculine, they also are healing the disconnect from their heart. Okay, these subconscious patterns and holding themselves back from the connection with their feminine is them not being connected to their heart because of the pain of the past. And yes, the masculine does feel pain. And the masculine does feel pain from not being with their twin. But the masculine processes things different. So just because they feel pain doesn't mean they're going to run into your arms. Okay, they have to go in and transmute that pain on their own. Just the way the feminine had to do that on their own. And is doing that on their own, I should say. But the disconnect from the heart is the abandonment of the feminine once again, because the heart is the feminine energy. And so in a lot of ways, we've all disconnected from our heart. And now we're reconnecting and we're working on how can we follow our heart? Because God is calling us now to a lot of things. But if we're not connected to our heart, we're not going to take action on those things because we're going to be too afraid. We're going to believe it's an illusion. We're not going to trust what we're hearing from God. So all of this is working together. And one of those things that God is calling us to do is reunite with our twin. And that's why this shift is happening right now. So really reconnecting with our heart is important because that is also reconnecting us with God. What I'm also getting from the masculine is that the connection with their twin has in some way created a moral dilemma for them. And they're going through a lot of inner conflict. Okay, one of the reasons why they've held themselves back is because they felt this moral dilemma. And now, as they connect more to their heart, you know, they have to consider that, and they have to work through that. Also, I'm getting that the masculine is questioning the devotion of the feminine, which is another thing I talked about recently. The masculine is basically afraid to commit to the twin flame connection at this point in time. Now remember, we're all masculine because a lot of divine feminines also are holding themselves back by not really believing in the connection. That's also not committing. When we're ready to commit to the connection, then we believe this and we understand that there is no separation. So when the masculine is questioning the devotion of the feminine, that's also a reflection of themselves and their own lack of commitment, because they've been stuck in this moral dilemma, or all along they've had fear that the divine feminine or the feminine energy in general, women in general, they don't trust them. So again, this is being worked through. Now for the feminine's role, I didn't mention, like, what I was getting from the feminine is that they really want to end the separation at this point in time. They'd really like to see their twin. And that's where this please contact me is coming in, because some of this energy is going to be the feminine kind of energetically reaching out to their person and saying, please contact me. Please contact me on the material level. So how this is showing up for the masculine. The planets are activating us to heal and bringing us closer together, surrender to the changes. As I said, Mars and Mercury retrograde. Got them to thank for this. Also have forked road, free will choice, the moment of truth, crisis, turning point. Okay, so I feel like the planetary shifts are like taking the masculine energy to this road, to this turning point. What are you going to do? It's bringing the situation of you've been avoiding your heart. You haven't been trusting this situation. You've been kind of digging your heels in with karmic situations. And now all of this is coming to a head. It's coming to a crossroad. And, you know, what are you going to choose? It's kind of the moment of truth here, if you will. So there's a choice. If not now, there's a choice for the masculine. Again, this is for all of us. So for some masculine, it's going to be the choice of the twin flame or the karmic situations. For some people, it's also going to be like about their purpose or just in general. Am I going to stay on this path of my old life, or am I going to choose a new life? Am I going to stay in old earth and my old consciousness, or am I going to ascend and take the path of new earth? Okay, so there's a lot of different ways where that forked road is going to show up for all of us. how this is transforming in the masculine. You're in your old patterns but can't see it. And this is clarified with hot air balloon. New perspective, rise above freedom. So the masculine is seeing more of their old patterns. The subconscious energy, it's being made more and more conscious. That's very important, because if we can't see it, and we all struggle to see what's in our subconscious, and believe me, no matter what stage of ascension you're at, you still have plenty in your subconscious that you're not aware of. Seeing it is such a big part of the battle, but we know that the masculine is elevating and it's creating more clarity. I actually had two cards come out here. The second card for how this is transforming the masculine is book burning, censorship, silenced, canceled, persecuted, limiting freedom, rewriting history, change the narrative. Oh, sorry. I forgot the twin flame card, which I should read first. I've been so grounded all my life. It's hard for me to trust the spiritual elements of our connection, yet I can't deny they exist. Yeah, isn't that what we've been talking about? I've been so grounded all my life, it's hard for me to trust the spiritual elements. Yeah, we're all dealing with that. And so that's clarified with book burning, which I feel is changing the narrative, I would say primarily, because when you get that higher perspective, you change the narrative. But also, like, we've been censoring ourselves, we've been silencing ourselves, we've been trying to keep ourselves under such tight control and constraint, and now this is changing, because we're not going to be denying ourselves. We're not going to be holding ourselves back as much as we used to. This can also have to do, of course, with kind of the bigger collective energy of silencing and persecution, of which the masculine and feminine have both been both victims and perpetrators of. So the song that the feminine wants to give to the masculine is The Secret Marriage by Sting. So we actually got this message in December from the masculine energy to the feminine. So now the feminine is saying it back to the masculine. So I really like the vibe of that. So the lyrics are, no earthly church has ever blessed our union. No state has ever granted us permission. No family bond has ever made us two. No company has ever earned commission. No debt was paid, no dowry to be gained. No treaty over borderlands or power. No semblance of the world outside remained to stain the beauty of this nuptial hour. The secret marriage vow is never spoken. The secret marriage never can be broken. That's the divine connection. You can't separate that. The secret marriage is that deep spiritual connection. It doesn't need to be blessed by some church, some earthly church. It doesn't need to be approved by the family. It only happens in our heart. Where do we feel that sacred marriage in our heart? And I'm going to say, like, in relation to the karmic situations, because a lot of twins are married. Both masculine and feminine twins are still married. What's in your heart? You might have a legal marriage to someone, but who is your secret marriage vow with? because as we move into 2023, that's going to become an issue. You know, if you're secretly feel married to someone else, but you're in a traditional relationship with another, you're not living your truth. And that will be a call for change in the future. So the song from the masculine, I actually got two songs here. The first one is Help from the Beatles. Help me if you can, I'm feeling, oh wait, help, I need somebody, help, not just anybody, help, I need someone, help. That takes me back to this card. Please send me energetic support. Use the frequency of love to uplift me because I need your help. So it's the masculine inside of us that is going through the struggle. And externally, those that are embodying the masculine are really having a harder time because they are at that fork in the road, so to speak. So, you know, perhaps send your twin some love this month. The other song that the masculine gave, they came out together, was Fortress Around Your Heart by Sting. So we have two Sting songs. And I'm gonna try to post the songs below, because if you listen to the songs, you might get additional meanings for your own connection. So I love the lyrics of this song. Then I went off to fight some battle that I'd invented inside my head. Away so long for years and years, you probably thought or even wished that I was dead. While the armies all are sleeping beneath the tattered flag we made, I had to stop in my tracks for fear of walking on the mines I'd laid. And if I built this fortress around your heart, encircled you in trenches and barbed wire, then let me build a bridge, for I cannot feel the chasm, and let me set the battlements on fire. That makes me want to cry as I read this. And it's a lot, you know, going back to this, and partly that abandonment wound, how the disagreements, and I want to say reactivity, because we talk so much about that, the reactivity with others. And then we put this wall up around ourselves. We build this fortress. And in this song, he's talking about that, you know, his relationship and how they've had this argument. And, you know, he's contributed to the fortress around his partner by the things that he said. And we can say that vice versa as well. And, you know, in general, the walls that we keep around ourselves that keep people out. And this is where this big shift is happening, because the walls are created from separation. And when we are in a state of oneness, we don't need the walls anymore. So in the future, the first card is my heart is opening to love and guiding me back to you. And it's clarified with pillory. So first of all, clearly, as separation ends, this will bring twins back together again. And also my heart is opening. We talked about the masculine reconnecting with their heart. In this pillory, one of the ways is that disconnection from the heart and like holding ourselves back, feeling like, okay, self-imprisonment is what I'm getting. And also this is the forgiveness piece. Like we have to take ourselves out of punishment. We're keeping ourselves in the stocks, in the pillory. We're holding ourselves back. And when we open our heart and forgive, we don't need it. Vulnerable too. We let ourselves be vulnerable. It also reminds me of this book burning card, the censorship card. because we've been censored and that keeps us shut down. A lot of us are dealing with PTSD from past lives. I did a video about that. And that's part of the subconscious. And a lot of it has to do with persecution. Oh, I forgot the question, Oracle. The question for the future is, what things are set to come into my life as of this new moon? So we actually have a full moon coming up on January 7th. Full moon in Cancer. And then we will have a new moon in Aquarius, I think it is, at the beginning of Aquarius. So let's say like in this month. Also for the future, because of you, I'm starting to see what's really important in my life. And that's clarified with constellation. So yeah, what is really important to us? That has a lot to do with how we think and how we view life, our perception. We've been programmed to believe in all these artificial things, to believe that those things are important, like material things, how powerful we are at work, how much money we make, what kind of car we drive, what kind of clothes we wear. We've been given this false programming that that's what's important. But what's really important is this deep spiritual connection that we share with our twin and with our soul family and with God. And that's really what this constellation is. It's the broader picture of the universe. Who we are in this has a soul. Who we are has a soul. And how our soul contributes to the greater good. What are we doing to contribute? What are we doing to bring love to Earth? That's what's important. I know the universe works in mysterious ways, but sometimes I judge this situation instead of just surrendering to it. So going back to the subconscious patterns once again, and this is that conflict between the masculine and feminine, the separation. Here's the masculine in the moral dilemma. Here's the feminine feeling abandoned. Each stuck in their own situation, each actually creating the separation and the fear and keeping themselves apart. So confronting those beliefs is what we need to move forward. And here we have Pearl. Open up. Emotional force, honesty, intuition, perception, loyalty, subconscious mind, hidden things, develop character. So again, if we bring this full circle, this is where the change is happening. The song for the future is Twist of Fate by Olivia Newton-John. Do we deserve a second chance? How did we fall into this circumstance? We weren't so straight and narrow. This is much more than we deserve. A higher voice has called the tune. Two hearts that lost the beat will now resume. The gift of life extension by divine intervention. It's got to be a strange twist of fate, telling me that heaven can wait, telling me to get it right this time. Life doesn't mean a thing without the love you bring. Love is what we found the second time around. Life doesn't mean a thing without the love you bring. Love is what we found the second time around. But yeah, also a higher voice has called the tune. Two hearts that beat will now resume. By divine intervention, it's got to be a strange twist of fate. Guys, we are not in control. We think we are, but we're not. Fate is in control. So this is where is this leading us? It's leading us to a twist of fate that none of us are expecting. Thank you so much, guys. I'm sending you all so much love. If you would like more information about me or reading, my website will be linked below, and I will speak to you very soon. Much love.